In the year 2562, humanity had long since transcended the boundaries of Earth. Colonies sprawled across the stars, their reach stretching to every corner of the Milky Way. Yet, despite their ever-expanding influence, one constant persisted: humanity's obsession with war. And not just any war, but with the kind of war that threatened the very fabric of the galaxy. It was in the middle of the Perseus Arm, near a star system called Arcturus, that the galaxy's long-standing peace was once again shattered. The Terran Commonwealth, an empire stretching from Mars to the moons of Jupiter, had finished constructing the latest and greatest in warship design, a behemoth known as the Dreadnought Omega. It was 17 kilometers long, bristling with ion cannons, railguns, plasma turrets, and shields that could endure direct hits from a star's core. The ship was more than a symbol of power. It was an exclamation mark in humanity's quest to show the galaxy that they were no longer the insignificant species they had once been. Earth had no need to hide in the shadows of the more advanced species anymore. This ship was a declaration: we are here, and we are a force to be reckoned with. However, not everyone was thrilled about the Dreadnought Omega. In fact, across the galaxy, whispers of unease began to ripple through the alien factions that had long kept humanity at arm's length. To the Crithari, a race of hyper-intelligent beings that governed most of the galaxy's ancient corridors, the ship was an affront to peace. To the Alarai, a deeply spiritual species that believed in balance, the ship was a sign of humanity's arrogance. But to the Enclavians, a brutal warrior race known for their cutting-edge technology and devastating military fleets, it was an irresistible challenge. Must they always build such absurdities? Murmured Captain Tiller of the Crithari, gazing at the image of the Dreadnought Omega projected on her command center. Her species had, for millennia, maintained an alliance of sorts with humanity, their respect for Earth's intellectual feats tempered only by their wariness of human recklessness. Her officer, Severin, was quick to answer: "They think such a ship will deter us from invading. Instead, it only makes us wonder. What could they possibly be hiding?" Meanwhile, in the dense jungles of Elathos, a planet in the Alarai territory, Grand Elder Tsarsha meditated in her sanctuary. The glowing stones around her flickered with ancestral energy as she connected with the ethereal plane. The ship's launch had already reached her through the ley lines of the cosmos. She, too, felt disturbed. A sense of imbalance swept through her, whispering that this colossal warship might bring about a shift in the galaxy's ancient equilibrium. "They will learn," Sarsha spoke softly, her eyes opening to reveal their glowing amber hue. "The warship is but a tool. The soul of a species cannot be conquered by size alone." At the heart of the Enclavian war fleet, a dark-colored vessel slipped through the stars, its hull lined with sharp edges that resembled the teeth of a predator. Inside, Supreme General Krixar, the most feared tactician in the galaxy, stared at a hologram of the Dreadnought Omega. His expression was one of intense focus. He had heard of humanity's recent surge in technological advancement. While many of his kind considered them to be inferior, Krixar knew that underestimating the Terrans was a mistake. "Are we ready?" Krixar asked his lieutenants, his voice low and controlled. "Yes, General," replied Lieutenant Karras. "The Omega is a formidable adversary, but it is only a ship. We have perfected our new weapon, phased pulse cannons that can break through even the strongest shields. It will fall." Krixar nodded. "Then we move forward." But before any of the factions could act on their intentions, a voice rang out from the Galactic Council, the very council that had long sought to prevent such a large-scale conflict from happening. Enough. The voice belonged to Supreme Ambassador Alara, the leader of the Galactic Senate, a union of various species that had kept the peace for centuries. She was known for her unyielding wisdom and her knack for preventing war when it seemed inevitable. The projection of her shimmering form filled every room across the galaxy, silencing all. "You speak of war, of violence, of conquest, and yet you fail to see the truth. Humanity is no longer the fragile species you once dismissed. Their ships are more than just weapons. They are an expression of survival. They defend their colonies, their homes, their families. And yes, their ships are large. They are grand. But I ask you this: what does it mean to have power, if you cannot protect what you love. The room fell silent. Even Krixar's crew remained motionless, uncertain of how to respond. The Council had seen the growth of humanity in real time, watched as they had shifted from a bickering collection of nation-states to an empire capable of withstanding the fiercest of threats. You fear the dreadnought Omega, Ambassador Alara continued. But it is not the ship itself you fear. It is what it represents. That humanity has learned to fight not just to conquer, but to preserve. If we do not change our approach to how we see them, it will be us who fall behind. In the heart of the Terran Commonwealth, aboard the dreadnought Omega, Captain Lee Burns, one of humanity's most decorated officers, stood before her crew. She had seen the hesitation in the eyes of other species, the fear and envy. "Tell me, crew," Captain Burns addressed her soldiers, "what do you see when you look out into the void? Do you see a threat, a challenge, or do you see the future?" The crew stood in silence for a moment, absorbing her words. And then, one by one, they replied with one unified voice, "We see humanity's future." In that moment, it became clear to the galaxy. The dreadnought Omega was not just a weapon, it was a message. It was a symbol of humanity's determination to thrive, to protect their place among the stars, and to never again be looked down upon as a mere bystander. Humanity, with all its flaws, had evolved into something formidable. The dreadnought Omega may have been the largest warship ever created, but it was a testament not just to humanity's might, but to their resilience. And it was something the galaxy would never be able to ignore again. The question now was whether the galaxy was ready for them.